Hey, what's up, everyone? This is the undeniable, unfiltered, and unbiased Gridiron Gilly Show, and I'm your host, Gridiron Gilly. And this right here is a very special episode because I have a special guest with me here today on this episode. You ready? You ready to make your on-screen appearance, buddy? Give me 1 minute. Gotta say hi to everybody. Are you going to help me talk about college football? We'll work on that. Earlier, he was telling me all kind of stuff about college football. He was giving me some predictions, and he was kind of giving me some advice and some things to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get started. Last week, college football, I picked some winners. I picked some losers. My boy here actually helped me. So, go ahead and tell him who our number one winner from last week in college football was. Did you say Texas? Okay, that's correct. Texas is the number one winner from last week. They went into Ann Arbor and they dominated for 4 quarters. Our number 2 winner, do you remember who that was? Yes, it was the Cornhuskers, Nebraska. They had Colorado come to Nebraska and they whipped them. They're looking really good, the Nebraska Cornhuskers are. Number 3 was, it's a big word, you probably can't say it, so I'll say it for you. Tennessee, the Volunteers. They smashed NC State, just like I figured they would, and looking pretty good. Tennessee Volunteers, they're going to be a good team in the SEC. My losers, however, number 1 loser, Notre Dame. Yeah, you don't like them either, do you? Riley Leonard, he is a fraud. Number 2 loser, Penn State. Even though they won, they should have lost to Bowling Green. They played terrible. And my number 3 loser, they won as well, but didn't play that great, was Oklahoma. I think they barely beat Houston in like a 14-12 or 16-14 ball game. And I put my little poll up, and all my people, I saw y'all making y'all's picks on which games we should do this week. And what y'all decided on was Tulane, Oklahoma, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, Florida. I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I don't know when he's going to start screaming and crying for formula. So we're gonna move pretty quickly, okay? So Tulane is playing number 15 Oklahoma. What do you think's going to happen, boy? Don't be shy now. Okay, so I took notes on all these games, okay? I took notes on Tulane, Oklahoma, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, Florida. I took notes. I wrote it all down. I'm prepared, or I was prepared. But here's the deal. I got a baby in my arms, and I don't have my notes in my arms. So from the dome, here I go. Tulane's a pretty good team, honestly. I picked them to win last week against Kansas State. Should have won, but didn't. Played a great game against them. Oklahoma hasn't looked that great this year. But I think if there ever was a time for Oklahoma to, bless you, if there ever was a time for Oklahoma to look good, it would be this week whenever I would pick somebody like Tulane to beat them in OU. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick Oklahoma to beat Tulane 42-33. Then we got LSU. What's wrong, buddy? You want to sit up? Sit up. It's okay. You want this thing? My robe's coming undone. Here's your pacifier. Take it. Take it. Take it. Sorry. Kids these days. Get back in your little bed. If you need anything, let me know. If you need anything, let me know, okay, buddy? Now that I don't have a baby in my arms, let me go to my notes really fast and give you what I got. Tulane, they beat week one. They won 52-0 over Southeastern Louisiana, and they lost last week 34-27 to Kansas State. OU beat Temple week one 51-3, and they just beat Houston 16-12. Jackson Arnold 315 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Freshman running back Taylor Tatum 17 rush yards, 1 touchdown. Deion Burks, he's got 15 receptions, 89 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year. Tulane, John Summerall, this is his first year. OU, Brent Venables, third year as the head coach. Freshman quarterback for Tulane, Damian Mensah, 547 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Like I said, I'm going fast, guys, because I don't know when he's going to start screaming. Sophomore, Malachi Hughes, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions, 3 touchdowns, or 37 yards. My bad. It's hard to read my own handwriting sometimes. And then junior wide receiver Mario Williams, 10 receptions, 252 yards. This quarterback for Tulane is a dog. Mensah, he's a freshman too, by the way. I think this game right here comes down to Oklahoma's defense, what they can do to Tulane's offense. Because I think OU's offense is going to put up points on Tulane. Like I said, it's going to be a 42-33 ball game, just by what I'm guessing. OU's going to win 42-33. So I think OU's going to put up some points, but I think also Tulane's going to put up some points. Stutzman, the linebacker for OU, player to watch against what Tulane's offense brings to the table. But there it is, 42-33. That's my prediction. Now we're going to go to the next game, LSU at South Carolina. His prediction, this was his predictions, not mine, so don't come at me with pitchforks. Ain't that right, boy? Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Okay, so number 16, LSU at South Carolina. LSU lost week one to USC 27-20, and they just beat Nichols 44-21. A lot closer ball game than I would have liked it to have been to start off with. South Carolina, they beat Old Dominion 23-19, too close of a game, and beat Kentucky 31-6. Pretty good win, but it was a boring game. Kentucky's garbage, honestly, but we're not talking about them. Playmakers, we're going to go with Kyron Lacey at receiver for LSU up against Nick Amanwari, the safety for South Carolina. South Carolina's got a pretty good secondary, in my opinion. Now, Nussmeier might come out there and throw 5 or 6 touchdowns on them, but in my personal opinion, I believe South Carolina's pretty decent secondary, and against what the SEC has to offer at receiver, although South Carolina's an average team in the SEC, I think South Carolina, can do some damage in that department. So I think looking at LSU's receivers versus South Carolina's secondary in general is that's how you're going to know who's going to win the game from that perspective right there, watching that right there. South Carolina's offense, decent. LSU's offense, probably better. However, LSU's defense, we know it's garbage. This is unbiased podcast. LSU's defense, garbage. South Carolina's defense, I'm not really sure. Played a close game with Old Dominion. Donkey stomped Kentucky, Kentucky had like no offense at all in that game. So I don't know if South Carolina's defense is bad or good. We'll see this weekend though, because LSU's offense is pretty daggum good. But oh yeah, Brian Kelly, 3rd year. Shane Beamer, 4th year at South Carolina. Lenore Sanders, quarterback. He's a freshman at South Carolina. 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Rocket Sanders, he's a senior running back, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Mazio Bennett Jr., freshman receiver, 5 receptions, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. I think he's a pretty good cat and will wind up being a pretty good cat as the years go by. Junior quarterback for LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, 610 yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. Senior running back, John Emery, he's got 61 rush yards, nothing impressive. Senior wide receiver, Kyron Lacey, 12 receptions, 159 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's pretty daggum good. So, like I said, that's going to be what to watch right there. Don't watch the run game. Don't watch what happens in the trenches. Watch LSU's wide receivers up against South Carolina secondary. Watch the first couple drives of each team, and you'll know who's going to win the game. And I let my boy, Baby A, pick this one in particular, and he said, Papa. He said, Big Papa, because that's what my bathrobe says, Big Papa. He said, Big Papa. LSU, I'm sorry, I know you like LSU, but since this is an unbiased podcast, I'm taking the Gamecocks 29-28 at home against the Tigers. And I looked him in the eye and I said, boy, that's brave. That's a brave prediction. That's a bold prediction, but I like it. And I support you with that prediction. So LSU going to take the L against South Carolina 29-28. Close game. Probably be one of the best games of the weekend. We'll see. And the third game nobody cares about, Texas A&M at Florida. Battle of who's the worst team in the SEC, probably. Texas A&M, they lost week 1 to Notre Dame 23-13, and they beat McNeese 52-10. Not impressed. Florida lost 41-17 in Miami and beat Samford 45-7. They also changed quarterbacks. They went from Graham Mertz to DJ Lagway. Supposed to be a better dude. I don't know. I think Billy Napier is just trying to save face in Florida. However, Lagway, he might be the real deal. He might be a good quarterback. I don't know. Samford is not a good test to see how good you are. A&M's defense against him, we'll get a good look this weekend at what this DJ Lagway dude has to offer. He is a freshman quarterback. He had 487 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Montrell Johnson Jr. Is a senior running back. I think he had 173 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Eugene Wilson, the receiver, 13 receptions, 191 yards, 1 touchdown. Sophomore quarterback for A&M, Connor Wigman, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Le'Veon Moss, junior receiver, or running back, my bad. He had 154 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then Cyrus Allen, 7 receptions, 100 yards, junior receiver. Mike Elko, this is his first year. Billy Napier, this is year 3 for him. And it's probably his last year. But that's besides the point. That don't really matter. What matters is what the Aggies are going to do in the swamp. And that's lose. I predict a close game, but I predict a boring game. And I think Florida is better offensively than A&M. I think just about every team in college football is better offensively than A&M. But I think A&M's defense is a smidge better than Florida on defense. Offense wins games, however, and I think Florida wins this one. I expect a lot of field goals, expect a lot of turnovers, and I expect Texas A&M to go into the swamp and lose 24-19 final in the swamp. What do you think about that, boy? 15 minutes in, and we're done. We're done with the Gridiron Gilly show. done with the Gridiron Gilly show. Oh. Don't say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Tune in next week to the Gridiron Gilly show.